from the Door Church, Maricopa, for our invocation and ask Councilmember Marsh to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise if you're able.
Amen. Let us pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for the goodness that you have given us. You have bestowed upon us many blessings richly and of your own free good nature. God, we pause to acknowledge that today. We thank you for the blessings of liberty. We thank you for the blessings of a peaceable city, of the government that we have here. And we pray your blessing upon this meeting together. We pray that you would enable our city council, our mayor and vice mayor, to have wisdom as they govern, make these decisions. We pray that you would be with our first responders and all of our city government employees. Help them to discharge their duties honorably, wisely, and for the benefit and blessing of this community. And Father, most of all, we remember, unless the Lord builds the city, the workmen labor in vain, and unless the Lord keep this city, they labor in vain who watch it. We pray that you would watch over this city. We pray that you would draw each person here in Maricopa to a closer relationship to you through your Son, Jesus Christ. And we thank you for all of this. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. And thank you, Councilmember Marsh. Appreciate you. That'll take us to roll call. Vanessa,
Councilmember
please.
Gittle?
Present.
Councilmember Knorr? Councilmember Learman?
Here.
Councilmember Marsh?
Here.
Councilmember Manfredi?
Here.
Vice Mayor Wade?
Present.
Mayor Smith?
Present.
Madam Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. That'll take us to proclamations, acknowledgments, awards, and presentations, of which this evening we have none. So that'll move us forward to the report from the mayor and council. Council, do you have items to report? Yes, Councilmember Marsh.
So I've had a busy time since the last meeting. On the 17th of July, there was a lunch and learn at the Senior Center, and it was well attended. On the 19th of July, several of us on council participated in a ribbon cutting for Baskin and Robbins. You all are assigned to try all 31 flavors. On the 21st, the Senior Advisory Council met. On the 24th, I chaired a session of the Pinal County Board of Adjustment in Florence. And Rich, there's still no word on the updated zoning code, so please get on it. On the 1st of August, Pinal Partnership did an online breakfast meeting. The topic for the panel discussion was the state of economic development in Pinal County. And the session's been recorded, and you can find it on YouTube. On the 4th of August, Councilmember Learman set up a tour for the mayor and me. We rode the Met Fixed Loop bus with driver Angela. It's a free bus with a 1-hour loop. We started at Copper Sky and went to the Sun Life Health Center, Walmart, Shea Way, Bacona Park, Central Arizona College, the library, the community center, Planet Fitness, Fry's, Bashes, and back to Copper Sky. It's a free ride, folks. All in 1 hour. And it plays every hour on the hour out of Copper Sky and does that loop until 4:30. I learned that we don't set the fixed route. It's set by experts at the state government. I think with Maricopa's growth in the east, we have to request the state to design an east loop from the library east to Tortosa, Desert Sunrise, and eventually the U of A Maricopa Agricultural Research Center. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Marsh. That'll take us over to Councilmember Learman.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone for being here this evening and those watching online. Just a few quick reminders. If you're interested in getting some alerts, we have 2 ways. Well, we have more than 2 ways, but I'd like to share 2 ways this evening. The first one is the Maricopa Community Alert Network, referred to as MCAN. This is an alert system where you can receive texts, calls, or emails alerting you of important information related to the city of Maricopa or your area in Maricopa. And you can sign up for that on the city website under the Enrichment Department. And then also the Pinal Emergency Notification System, referred to as PEN, is an alert system that you can sign into by going to pinal.gov/PENS, P-E-N-S, register. And that way you would be giving alerts, including information about 347. I also wanted to share that applications for our 3rd cycle of the city art grants will be open in the next week. So please look for the city newsletter and the link to apply for those grants. And lastly, Bob forgot to mention the wonderful air conditioning that was on the bus. We got on and it was really nice and cool, and it was just a really pleasant ride. We got to meet, like he said, Angela, our bus driver, who was amazing, and a couple really pleasant citizens as well. So thank you very much, Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilmember Learman. Councilmember Noor.
Thank you, Mayor. Quickly, I just wanted to thank the Copper Sky staff and then the Maricopa Police and Fire for the amazing water safety demonstration that they put on last weekend. I don't, my days are all, it was on National Drowning Prevention Day, which was July 26th, whenever that was. But it was a fantastic event, and they did a drowning simulation, and then Banner Air and Air Methods flew in their helicopters to show what would happen. And the lifeguards at Copper Sky did a great job facilitating that demonstration, and there was a lot of community involvement in the wet room with tables of different resources about drowning prevention and water safety. And it was just a great opportunity for a lot of different groups here local in Maricopa to get together and help our community, inform them about water safety. And so I just want to say kudos to Maricopa Fire and Police and also Copper Sky and Be Awesome was a part of it as well. And then finally, I was able to attend the Lowe's grand opening, board breaking or board cutting, which was really fantastic. Lowe's had a cute little theme. It was like Copacabana, so it was like Hawaiian tropical themed for their first day. And there was lots of people out there. Maricopa showed up, and the words of the manager when she spoke during the board cutting, she just talked about what an impressive team she had, and it's almost entirely all local Maricopa citizens, and how proud she was of them. And so that just made me proud as a council member. We know we have awesome people here, but she just reconfirmed that. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Manfredi.
I want to just express some of the same things regarding not only Lowe's, but all businesses that open in the city of Maricopa. I was at the Baskin-Robbins grand opening the next day, and I'm fat. I like to eat. All joking aside, water and ice is great too. I was at their thing, and I was talking to the owners, and we were chatting about how many employees, and it was good to see all of those people. And they look at maybe 15, 20 people are going to be working there. And a lot of people kind of say, it's a retail job, who cares? But when you look at the jobs, these are important jobs. These are jobs where teenagers, young men and women, people in their early 20s, people going to college at CAC, these are jobs that are needed. And they're needed because they do more than one thing. They don't just give somebody a salary or pay or whatever it is. They give people a chance to learn how to work in an environment. So any job that we bring to the city of Maricopa is important, and it's so great to see Lowe's with hiring all those people from Maricopa, and of course Baskin-Robbins. When I asked, every one of them said they live here in the city of Maricopa. So it's providing jobs for people that live here that they don't have to drive on the 347 transition. I was at an RTAC meeting recently, Rural Transportation Advisory Committee, and we were talking about the funding that we'll be fighting for next year in the legislature. And someone said to me, well, you already got your funding in place for the 347. You don't need anything. I was like, whoa, calm down there. Of course we need something. We need our east-west corridor taken care of. We need, Sonoran Desert Parkway, sorry. We need the Sonoran Desert Parkway taken care of. We need our loops taken care of that we're working on. So there's plenty of stuff that will be coming to you. And I reminded them something. We have funding promised in place. We are not funded. There's a clarification there in that, we have to work through the legislature again next year to make sure that it's not pushed forward or moved sideways or whatever it is. So there's going to be a continued fight for the 347. The 340 Facts Committee is going to be there. Your council is going to be there. But when we ask for help, please help. That's all.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And on the 25th of February, yes, 23rd of February, the mayor skipped town. And she had me as the acting mayor during that period of time. And of course, you know how capable she is to attend everything that is asked of her. So I know I had to do exactly that. And most of them has been covered up here already. But I want to also speak about Lowe's ribbon cutting or sawing, I think they called it board sawing. It was great to see the number of people that were there representing Maricopa, and what was kind of unique, they had camouflage, some of them were wearing camouflage vests, and those were the people who represented the military, veterans. And they had a very large contingency of veterans that they have employed from here in Maricopa. I thought that was pretty cool. And then I had a little fun with a game called SYN game card. I'm not going to tell you what the SYN stands for. Come and talk to me personally. I'll tell you what it stands for. But it was one of those ribbon cutting ceremonies that the mayor skipped out on. And so I was able to attend on behalf of the city. But I had a great time the entire time that she was away. Of course, missed her. But looked forward to all the different activities that were in place. And then, of course, I'm very happy, pleased that at least that I have not been made aware of or have been informed of that. First day of school went off pretty cool. First day of school, and we didn't have any major glitches or issues with transportation and kids getting where they needed to go and what have you. So I think that was very, very happy to hear that we didn't have any issues as far as the first day of school. And I think, let's see, let me make sure. Yep, that's all that I have.
Perfect.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Madam Mayor.
Vice Mayor. Vice Mayor, if it makes you feel any better, I had to survive a tsunami. Yeah, I was in Hawaii when the tsunami was a big warning. That was quite an experience. Had the city manager ask me, did I have experiencing a tsunami on my bucket list? No, it was not on my bucket list. But I will say that Hawaii did a very good job. And in the case of an emergency, I hope you all are loved the way that I feel loved and what came about that day. I had family, friends. I had my city manager finding me a shelter if I needed it. I mean, I hope you all have your lives full of love like that because it meant a lot in that situation. What it amounted to was a 4 to 6 foot wave. Not very much, but it was quite an experience. So in the additional weeks prior, since our last meeting, I also went to the Lowe's. The one thing I wanted to add is I had a great conversation with that store manager. Just to give you an idea, that store manager started off as a cashier, and she has worked her way up to a store manager. This is her second time she's managed a store, and she was given a new store, which is even a bigger challenge. So what's phenomenal about that is that it is a career that you can live on and survive on. And they have hired people that are Maricopa residents who had very successful professional jobs in the Valley and gave that up for the career at Lowe's so that they didn't have to travel 347. They felt like it was better for their life all around. So there are jobs there that are very successful in terms of providing for your family. An interesting statistic, and I know several alluded to this, but she said 98% of their staff live in the city of Maricopa. And she found that to be a big goal of hers because she knew and understood Maricopa. But she also said it was a challenge because you have to have high-level managers. And so to find the caliber of people that can perform as high-level managers and still be a resident of the city, 98%. I found that to be amazing. The second thing is the Baskin and Robbins. Everyone's talked about that, but in my conversation with the manager there, I said, why Maricopa? It's one of my questions I like to ask new businesses. Why Maricopa? And he said with all of the research that he had done, Maricopa knew how to love their small businesses and make them successful. And so he came here because he could see the community spirit, the love that people have for small businesses. And I found that to be a big accomplishment for the city of Maricopa and their residents. And I really appreciated his comment. And then last, don't have much to say about 347, but there's a party this Saturday. Two options this Saturday from 12 to 5. You can sign up for the free swim day from 12 to 5. You do have to pre-register for that. There is a limit to how many people, but it is free. And then you can also take the fast lane and do entertainment, bouncy houses, family fun, and free hot dogs over at Copper Sky within the gymnasium. That's all free as well. And then if you're 55 and above, you on August 12th from 11 to 1, you can participate in their party that they're having there, which is a potluck, and they'll be having a lot of fun games as well. So come on out, celebrate this milestone. People, when I was at the last ADOT meeting, they're like, why are you holding a party? We haven't even broke ground yet. And I'm like, but this has taken 14 plus years to accomplish, and we want to celebrate the milestone. Plus, it's an opportunity to educate people. We will have really fun, informational boards for you at this event so that it answers some questions that you might have. So it's educational. It's an opportunity for us to let our residents know the real facts about what's going on. One of those boards is the best schedule that we have right now for when things will occur. So if you're curious about the schedule, come on out and check it out. Yes?
Somebody asked me why we're having a party to celebrate 347 when we haven't broken ground. I said it's not a party, it's a get-together, a small celebration. The real party will come when we do break ground.
That's exactly right.
And imagine how big that's going to be.
That's exactly right. Okay, and that's it from me. I'll take us to the message from the city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Just have something exciting to share. As we've grown as a city, we're now at a point of about 80,000 population, but there's something that's going to happen here in the next couple of weeks that is a first for us. And that is something that I think we should have a little feather in our cap. We have an intern coming to us. It's really a fellow from Arizona State University. Arizona State University's Master's in Public Administration program, their School of Public Affairs, is actually ranked second in the country for School of Public Affairs. And within that high quality education, there's a fellowship called the Marvin Andrews Fellowship or the Jane Morris Scholarship. Marvin Andrews was a longtime city manager for the city of Phoenix. In fact, if you go to City Hall, it's actually on Marvin Andrews Way. And so it's kind of a program that leads towards the development of the next generation of leaders within our state. Well, we have been selected, and we have a fellow lined up that will be coming with us, or coming to us, and working for the city of Maricopa for about the next 2 years as she pursues her master's degree in public administration. And to give you an idea of the caliber of this person, her name is Natalia Loram. She's from Nevada. Her undergraduate was at the University of Tennessee, and she was on the rowing team at the University of Tennessee. She, in her time at Tennessee, was actually part of the athletics program that did outreach across the globe, and she served time in the Philippines helping a Parks and Recreation department there get some things off the ground. So she's got great energy, great excitement. She actually starts with us on the 18th of September, of August, not September. So just in a couple weeks. And again, she'll be with us for about 2 years. So as she comes, we'll be sure to give her the full rigmarole and have her present at City Council and do all of those things to give her a full acclamation. But really excited that we were selected and that we have such a high caliber person coming to our city for about the next 2 years. So that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, City Manager. Appreciate that. All right, that'll take us to the call to the public. At this time, let me read a little bit about that procedure. The procedures to follow if you address the council are: council requests that you express your ideas in 3 minutes or less and refrain from any personal attacks or derogatory statements about any city employee, a fellow citizen, or anyone else, whether in the audience or not. The mayor will limit discussion whenever they deem such an action appropriate to the proper conduct of the meeting. At the conclusion of an open call to the public, individual members of the council may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the council, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the council shall not discuss or take legal action on any matter during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. This evening, I do have one speaker card, and then I will open it up to anyone else who would like to approach the podium. So I'd like to call forward Kenneth Alexander.
Is there a button on the? Oh, they're coming.
Oh, there it is. Once again, good evening, Madam Mayor. Good evening, city officials. My name is Kenneth Bam Alexander, and I'm a recent resident of Maricopa. My wife and I moved here a little over 2 years ago, and we fell in love with this city. I am a producer, a songwriter, a touring musician, and a musical director for a lot of mainstream artists. And I've been doing all of those things since 2002. I also own my own production company called Drum Major Entertainment. And I was invited by the O'Johns to speak on the opportunity to engage, positively engage the youth of Maricopa. Because we all know and we've all seen that when the youth don't have positive outlets, it could be a problem for our community. The idea that myself, my wife, my partners, Jerry Williford and Rob Miller, have is presenting is a multi-genre concert series called Stadium Courtyard, where we would be doing high-energy performances in a small, intimate venue that would feature local and mainstream artists. How we would involve the youth in this concert series is to show them what it takes to put on these kinds of events. We would mentor them and include them in the running of sound, lighting, staging, filming, and marketing through social media. Some of them will actually also be a part of the performances. There is a lot more that I could probably say about it, but I would appreciate if this could be something the city could possibly support and get behind. If you have any other questions, you can reach me by email, drummajor.entertainment@gmail.com. Again, that's drummajor.entertainment@gmail.com, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Would anyone else like to approach the podium? Yes, please come forward.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. I'm Ocean Kent, and I'm just so excited about the 347. Woo! Well, I want to give you a quick story. About 7 years ago, my mother passed of lung and brain cancer. She was diagnosed, and a month and a half later, she passed. So it was really devastating for our family. So what we did is I decided, how do I celebrate her memory? How do I make sure that my children know the greatness of their grandmother, and how do we support those that are still surviving and fighting? So we got together with Susan B. Komen Walk that they do in Tempe every year, about October coming right up. And we'd supported, we'd raised funds. I brought the corporations that I was with there, and we did majorly well. We had a great time. This year was coming up, and I said, you know, why am I taking all of my resources and my connections and funding right outside of Maricopa? Why aren't we doing something right here in my neighborhood? You asked, let me give you the statement. So we decided, why not do something right here? So on November 15th, we're doing a cancer walk. It's called Boots on the Ground, 10 Toes Down, a walk for the cure of cancer. Every step carries a story. We have some phenomenal support through the community. Silk Press Express is one of our sponsors. The UPS store has sponsored us. We have JP Rentals that has sponsored us, Maricopa Lifestyle Magazine. So we're really excited. What we're needing some company here or organization that we're able to donate some of the funds to that are right here in our backyard. And I've been having a challenge in finding who that could be. Hopefully somebody will reach out and share who can we actually give those resources to, the funding to, and support after the walk is over. We're looking at having it at Copper Sky. We're in the talks, it's looking good. So now it's a sponsor-ran program. So everything, the funding is coming from sponsorships. So right now we're in the need of some sponsorships to solidify actually the location of Copper Sky. It's about $2,300. We're pretty close, not too far off, and we're just hoping that the community will come together, one, to walk, two, to support, and three, to continue this throughout the year as an annual event. In order to contact me, I have some flyers that are in the back. There's a QR code there where you can actually register to walk. So please bring your families, post it on social media, COPA 1347. You'll see it on COPA TV as one of our sponsors, so you'll see it throughout throughout Maricopa. Please register to vote, show up, show our community that we support those that are fighting cancer, those who have gained their wings from cancer, and those that are their supporters. If we look, in closing, if we look around the room, everybody here has been affected in some way. Come out and walk. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to approach the podium? Yes, please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Supervisor Rich Vidiello with an update for Bob. We are actually going to have a committee formed around November. Chairman Miller will be announcing something that we will be putting it together about the code to put in every district, so that way there'll be 5 or 10 people that will come together, have a meeting, and then we'll finally have our code. But also I'd like to just let you know that over at my building where I work every day, I have a room, an available room, if anybody needs somewhere to meet. You have to come there by either between 9 and 4:30 to come in, and it's free of charge. It doesn't cost anything for anybody. You want to have a meeting, please do so. I know we have some of our council members use it, and I appreciate it. It's free, which is the most important thing. Then the other thing is, I don't know if people know that the county just released probably about a month ago a kind of like a title lock. So if somebody tries to steal your title, you will get notifications. Now, you do have to come to the building over here in Maricopa, so it's local. You fill out a piece of paper, you show your driver's license or any state ID, and it's free of charge. So you'll get an email or you'll get a phone call that somebody has been tapping into trying to steal your title. So I just want to let people know that it's free of charge, and come sign up and knock on my door when you come in and say hello. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've actually done that. It's called the PAL. I don't remember what PAL stands for, but it's a one-page document to protect your title. Go do it. Would anyone else like to approach the podium? All right, seeing none, I will close the call to the public. That'll take us to the consent agenda item. This evening, we have consent agenda items 7.1 through 7.6. I have no speaker cards. Council members, do you have any questions, concerns, issues? If not, I will take a motion.
Motion.
So moved by Councilmember Manfredi, and I heard a second by Councilmember Noor. Last chance for comments, questions. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Very good. That'll take us to our regular agenda, which is 8.1. This item will be presented by, you told me, Quinn. Yes, Quinn. Thank you. And it is a presentation on Wild West Music Fest.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Quinn Knoll. I'm the Community Enrichment Director. Just as I was sitting there, it does not escape me that as Maricopa is growing so quickly and there's so many important things to talk about, that we talk about our quality of life efforts in that same conversation is humbling and a testament to the emphasis that Council has put on that. So we appreciate that. So yes, we are 2 years now into an effort to explore event tourism in an event that's called Wild West Music Fest. Hopefully most people are familiar with it by now. So tonight, the purpose of my presentation is to take a look under the hood of what we're getting as we explore this. But to kind of set the foundation of it, what I'd like to do is, Council is very familiar with this. Take a look, though, for the benefit of those watching, the strategic priorities that Council identified. Now, this is not all of them. This is just the ones that had to do with becoming a destination city. So in February of 2023, during our futures planning meeting, that's when a list of priorities was established. And when it came to quality of life investments and becoming a destination city, these are the ones that were identified. So this event speaks a little to Objective 5.1, which we'll read there, is to attract visitors from across the region and the nation. We will employ a sports and event tourism strategy that encompasses broad appeal. And Objective 5.2, to celebrate 20 years as a city, while delivering a world-class event for the Maricopa community and visitors to enjoy, we will bring back Stagecoach Days in grand fashion in 2023. Now again, Council is aware, but over the course of exploring this and beginning this, the actual name Stagecoach Days presented some issues when working with an event partner, and we kind of identified that would be a good opportunity to save that for an event that we would want to do and own those naming rights perpetually, and lo and behold, we actually are bringing back Stagecoach Days, so both of those things are happening. But so the form that it took didn't take the name Stagecoach Days, it took Wild West Music Fest. But and I'll highlight this a couple of times during our presentation, but hopefully it becomes clear that the purpose of the year one was to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the city and begin exploring event tourism. So if you look on the right side there, you'll see March of 2023, we put out an invitation for bid, looking for a partner that could help us produce this event, that would invest in this with us, put their skin in the game. And in May of 2023, the IFB was awarded to SLE Entertainment and Public Relations. And in October of 2023, we had the first Wild West Music Fest, again, celebrating the 20th anniversary. The next time around, between there and the next event, this strategic goal was amended somewhat, and this is where it currently stands. This was in April of 2025. The second, so that's when the second Wild West Music Fest happened, and in May is when Council, during its meeting, updated the strategic priorities. So as this looks today, Action 5.1, to attract visitors from across the region and the nation, we will employ a sports and event tourism strategy that encompasses broad appeal. We will utilize bed tax funds to minimize the impact on local taxpayers while inviting visitors who can boost local business and enhance Maricopa's regional profile. By attracting tourists who spend their dollars in our community, we aim to create an influx of revenue that supports both local commerce and the growth of the city. So I really want to emphasize those points of what we were looking to get out of this was, yes, utilizing bed tax funds. For those who might not be familiar, this is revenue generated from visitors when they come and stay at short-term rentals or hotels. The idea being that visitors that come here spend their money here, and we use that money back into efforts that invite more visitors here, and it's kind of a cyclical thing that hopefully grows and perpetuates as the city grows. And with the goal of inviting visitors who can boost our local business and enhance Maricopa's regional profile. So that's the purpose of this event, to boost local business and to boost our regional profile. So we're going to take a look at that in a minute, of how that effort is going. I want to get straight to some of the numbers that I think people are very curious about when it comes to Wild West Music Fest. Oh, do you have a question, Councilmember Noor?
Oh, yeah. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Before we get to the specifics on Wild West Music Fest, specific to the Objective 5.1 and Action 5.1, do we have any examples of sports tourism that we've been working on or bringing to the city?
I think there's exciting opportunities. There's been conversation about that. We've looked, we had some great conversations this last year to strike a better balance between sports tournaments that are interested in coming to the city and the need of our local use, specific to youth baseball fields. Some of the council members were involved in that conversation. That's really a starting point. One of the biggest challenges that we know that when it comes to sports tourism is our inventory, and something that absolutely there's a need for a greater conversation about. So that's an example, but I think really just the starting point. So again, taking a look at some of those numbers and understanding, while our goal is to boost our regional profile and boost businesses, since we've employed an event producer, they also need to, for that to be worthwhile for them to do it, they need to be able to make some profit. So we, after the first year being the 20th anniversary, we also included a focus on how can we make this something that will be profitable for our event producer, and hopefully one day for the city as well. So comparing, already knowing that there's some stark differences between the difference of the goal of year 1 and year 2. Year 1, do a 20th. Year 2, let's start making this thing pencil. There's still some great compare and contrast that we could do. So 2023, the first Wild West Music Fest, had an estimated attendance over the 3 days of 15,000 people. It's pretty good for the start of an event in Maricopa that's really kind of introducing paid events. Our community is pretty used to our wonderful signature events that are free. This is going to be an adjustment as they learn to have that opportunity for paid events as well. The city investment that year, $350,000 is what was paid to SLE. Total event expenses were close to $1.1 million. So if the city's investing $350,000, where is the rest of that? That's our event producer covering that. Total revenue generated, $826,000. So it's a net deficit of $251,000. So, I just kind of addressed this one head on because I've talked myself blue in the face for the past 2 years talking about this, but I get the question a lot, so does that mean the city lost $250,000? I kind of always use an analogy. If you go to the grocery store and you come out with groceries, you say, I lost all my money. Well, I bought the groceries. What were we going for? We were going for the exposure, the celebration of the 20th, and that $251,000 deficit, that's absorbed by our event partner in this. So our investment never exceeded the $350. We didn't pay $350 and then $251 on top of that. I want to make that clear because I still get that question sometimes.
And we'll probably continue to get it because it comes up over and over and
Absolutely.
over. But I appreciate you making that clarification. It's very important.
Absolutely. And so now what's the biggest sign that the event producer doesn't think that that's terrible?
They're back.
They want to do it again. And in conversation that we had with them, they were telling us this is a great start. We have tons of things to learn. You've got to be prepared for 25,000 people to show up and the potential that 2,000 people show up. You don't know what you're going to get in a first year. So they make all the efforts to make sure it's safe, it's clean, that people have a pleasant experience, that the brand that they recognize is one of excitement, and again, cleanliness and safety, and they really hit it out of the park in all of those regards. And then, okay, year 2, now it's time to talk about how we're past the birthday celebration. How can we begin to make it financially make sense for them? Again, we're still getting that benefit of our businesses being boosted. And I'm going to expand on that in a minute. But let's take a look at what the results that effort, that concentration yielded in year 2. So year 2 in 2025, Total attendance of about 9,500 people. So fewer people attended, yet the city's investment and the overall investment, the total expenses, were less than half. So total expenses, $463,000. So a smaller budget, a more modest starting point. Still great talent that people recognize, that they're excited to come. So that's the challenge, is preserving the excitement and the energy for people to come on a smaller budget and allowing it to grow. The revenue generated, $466,000, which yields a net profit of $2,351. A pretty modest profit in and of itself, but when you compare those two side by side, a $250,000 deficit to a $2,000 profit, that's a $252,000 swing in the course of a year. Now, I do not anticipate that year 3 we will see another $250,000, that it will be incremental. Really, in a lot of ways, this year that we just did the event was more like a first year. So next year we'll be learning even more and be able to compare those trends year over year. So those, again, are those numbers side by side, I think yielding some great results with profitability, but again, focusing on what our strategic priorities were meant to accomplish. Let's take a look at what we're yielding there.
Quinn, I'd like to pause there
Absolutely.
just for a moment for a point of reference. In the first year, we had the City of Chandler Chamber of Commerce come out, the president, or it was either the director or the chair of the chamber, and she shared with us that
she came again this year too.
That she shared with us that the Ostrich Festival, which was the same intention, a tourism event for the City of Chandler, took 7 years to become profitable. And so I think that's a great point of reference. Now, definitely there's some difference between the City of Maricopa and Chandler, but I think it gives you something to understand in terms of perspective when doing something to this magnitude, and wanting to draw in people into your community for economic development. It took the City of Chandler 7 years to become profitable. That's really important to understand. Yeah.
And I was part of that conversation, and she compared our year 1 to their year 5. She said this event here was our year 5. And so she was very impressed with what we put on. And the Chandler Ostrich Festival, again, it's not always comparable exactly, but they approximately make $9.5 million a year. So, and it's been going on for 36 years. So it's something that you build on and grow.
Absolutely. Thank you for those points. We certainly have the benefit of learning a lot of lessons from their experience because, again, I didn't mention this, but our event producer that we have is the same event producer for Ostrich Fest, SLE. They produce both events. So yes, we have the opportunity to learn that, and I may be mistaken, but I believe when they're talking about the 7 years to build the profitability, they're talking about the time in which SLE was running the event. So
That's very
previous
possible.
to that, when there were other producers,
Yeah.
it took even longer. So it's a long
Good point.
running event,
Yep.
worth noting. So again, taking a look at those areas, talk to me about the economic impact. That's what we want to know in our strategic thrust of how is this boosting local businesses. We want to understand that better this year. So we actually engaged a group called IMPLAN. That's a national group that helps complete studies on the economic impact by using a lot of national averaged surveys, but we did more specific data by doing surveys with our own staff, asking festival goers what they were spending inside the event, outside the event, whether they were staying in hotels, whether they were spending on gas, and by using the IMPLAN software to input that, it's able to calculate averages. And it really, not to get too nerded out on this, but it talks about direct, indirect, and induced spending that happens, so whether it's happening directly at your event, whether they're buying from suppliers around there, or whether that's the money changing hands because of people having jobs and employment. And the result that it got is that it estimates that this event has an economic impact for our area of $2.84 million in total economic impact. That's a significant number. I think if we, again, compared it to large festivals, we will find out again, we're just at the beginning. But that's what we certainly want people to understand about the value of this event. That's why we see it a worthwhile investment, is because this is the yield that we're emphasizing. This is Just like with our signature events, we make an investment. Those are monies that we spend. We don't see them come back in that form. We see them come back in the smiles of the residents, that they're happy living here. This is one that's really meant to generate people coming into our city. That's a dollar that wasn't spent there, and that our community members didn't have to go outside of our city to spend their dollars. It stays here. And again, it's just a starting point, but I think a pretty significant number to highlight. And we're happy that we could emphasize that this year. We did a demo of a service that also gives us an idea of where our visitors are coming from. 74% are Maricopa residents, and call it 26% either from surrounding cities or from out of state. So that's pretty exciting to see visitors coming in. Again, that's accomplishing the goal. So they're coming here in terms of getting our regional profile boosted. People have a reason to be talking about Maricopa around the valley. Let's go to that event. Let's go check that out. It's also being advertised. What you see there on the left are our various TV and media newspaper partners that are advertising this. So all of those are a sounding board for more people hearing about our city and having a reason to be interested in coming here and seeing what we have to offer.
Gwen, could you go back to the prior
Absolutely.
slide? There were 2 points. I really enjoyed this slide because it told me a couple things. But first, I want to state in one of the, I believe it was in Focus 5, one of the phrases, create an influx of revenue that supports both local, commercial, and growth of our city. And when we talk about growth of our city, we're talking about people who might come who own businesses and want to bring their business here because they see the spirit of Maricopa, they see all that Maricopa has to offer. So the hope in strategy or focus number 5 is to bring an influx of revenue that supports our local companies and growth within our city to bring more to our city in terms of economic development. So I thought that was really important. And 2.8 million, when you compare that to the fact that we spent, what did you say, 250,000, and we brought in to our local businesses $2.8 million. For year 2, I actually am very impressed with that. The second point I want to make is if you pay any attention to social media, you'll be convinced, if you so choose to be, that our Maricopa residents aren't interested in this. But when you see the statistics and you realize the total population is 9,500 and 74% of them were from Maricopa, that says approximately 7,000 people from the city of Maricopa enjoyed this event. Now that's bigger than any other event that we hold, and it's quite significant. It's 10% of our community. And that to me says there is a interest, and the bigger it gets, I think the bigger interest there will be, but from surrounding cities as well. So I kind of just want to put the kibosh on the fact that people are out there saying local residents aren't interested. 7,000 people were interested. 10% of our community were interested. And it was a pay-for event. So it's not one of our free events where we get 3,000, 5,000 people for a free event. I think just important points to make.
Absolutely. And I would note that on social media, I see comments that saying expanding to 347 is going to not help.
That's
I don't
true.
know. I don't put a
That's
lot
true.
of weight in there.
I see those
Really,
too.
this helps us give that clear idea, that clear picture. Certainly know that there will always be skepticism or criticism around it, but
Sure.
what are we actually yielding? These give us a really good picture of that. I
Yeah.
think that's important to point out.
I'm all for an influx of revenue. Like, bring it on for all of our local businesses. I love that. Yes, Councilmember Noor?
Yeah, can you go to the slide right before this one, I think? Yes. So I have a couple questions about, and I sent you these so that I wouldn't be blindsiding you with questions. Speaking about the prior to, so these two, 2023 and 2025, does SLE pay the rental for, like, pay to rent the facilities that they utilize?
No, they do not, knowing that that was going to be something, if we wanted to throw an event of this scale, that we would be making that investment. Those are in-kind opportunities the city was willing and negotiated with the event producer to provide.
Okay, so, and just for council's edification, Quinn got back to me with, because I asked how much would it be if they rented it, and it would be about $39,420 for SLE to rent that. And in my opinion, I think that needs to be included in the city investment because we include direct costs, and that's what that is, when we analyze our youth sports, their pricing, when we look at adult softball pricing, when we look at, our pricing policy, I went through it, and we consider direct costs for just about everything except the first one, which is when it's free and just like parks. And so I think we just always need to be having a standard, and that's why we have a pricing policy, but a standard of how we're assessing things and what our actual investment is. And so I just think it's important that that same standard that we use for recreational soccer, and I have a list of all the things that are included, that standard's applied to Wild West Music Fest. And so as we go forward, I would like to see that those direct costs included so we know what we're actually investing.
So we don't do that for Maricopa, we don't do that for the Pumpkin Walk, we don't do that for any of the other events. This is a lineup of events that the City Council has had a vision to provide to our community. And we don't provide the space cost for any of our other events. I guess I don't mind if it's starred and added, but it's not something for any of our other events that we add in. So I don't know if that makes a difference. I have a bug, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. But for me, the difference between Maricopa and Wild West Music Fest is Steve Levine Entertainment's taking home the profit. So that's, Maricopa, we don't have a private business that we're partnering with that gets to receive profit. With Wild West Music Fest, we do. And so, and it's just like with our partnership policy that hopefully we'll be able to implement soon. We expect those partners to pay for their portion of things, and we also expect them to become self-sustaining. And so I would just like to see a standard that's applied to everybody. We shouldn't have winners and losers where Steve Levine Entertainment gets a special, they don't have to pay rental fees. But let's say the bidder of the Senior Expo, are they going to have to pay rental fees? Because I would consider those the same thing.
Yeah, my answer would be no.
Well, that's not what the IFB
well, we don't have a
says. It says
policy
it can
yet.
be considered.
We don't have a policy yet.
Right.
Yes.
So I like to see a standard and transparency and treating people equally. So, so I thought that was important to bring forth that the city is actually also providing $39,420 in facilities that aren't paid for. And then to that point, the cost of staff involvement, including police and fire. I had asked Quinn that question. Quinn, do you want to answer, or do you want me to give what you told me? You can go ahead and answer.
Yeah, I can. So there was a lot in that first, what you said there. I just wanted to point out the rental fees that I gave you was an estimate based off of what the usage was for the way that they organized the event. If we were to require a rental fee, one, you wouldn't be collecting that revenue because they wouldn't be doing the event. Number two, they might do it differently. They might say, well, I don't want the room for as many days or this, so it's really an estimate. So, if you were to do that, I think you could calculate based off of what their actual use was, but again, if those weren't given in kind, they might do it differently. So just like a caveat there, but I think it still gives us an idea of what the value of that in-kind service is.
I would also like to point out on that topic, this is different than soccer, baseball, softball, in that we put out a request for proposal for someone to bring a tourism event to the city of Maricopa. So with that, we knew that there was going to be some give and take. I don't see it, especially in these early years, as giving the winner of that bid, which happens to be SLE, a way to make a profit. I see as it grows that we would change our terms and have a better understanding of how Maricopa is going to share in that profit, potentially, something in the future. But we put out the bid for proposals knowing that this is, our goal is to create an influx I'm going to keep going back to that, of revenue. And that supports our local businesses. And so I see it as different than our recreational programs. But I understand your point completely.
Right.
But I do see it as different, and I would use probably different words to describe the partnership that we currently have with that vendor.
Right, and I'm not saying we shouldn't provide the space for free. That's not, I'm saying that that fact or that information needs to be something that is known to the council as we consider this. And so that's why I'm bringing it forward. That's my only point. I just didn't feel like that this was giving the full picture of what the city is investing into this event that we want to receive an influx from.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think you do have to take Quinn's point that if we didn't have this agreement, we may not have this event. So we wouldn't have $36,000 of, or 60.
On top of 2.8 million for dollars of economic
Plus 2.8
impact,
million of, was it 32,000 you said?
39,000.
39,000.
Right.
Again,
We
that was
wouldn't have that
a very-
39,000 because
a
we
very
wouldn't have the
reference.
2.8 million either. So we always have to be balancing exactly what we're thinking or expecting or even communicating to the public. I think to communicate to the public what the goal of the event is and why we chose to spend $250,000 and why we chose to allow them to use our facility is because you get this $2.8 million economic impact. I think that's what is important to communicate to the public. So I just see it slightly different, but I understand.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you. And to a second point that I think Councilmember Knorr made very well that we need to stress is that if we are willing as a city to, for all intents and purposes, give an in-kind donation to SLE, are we also considering the same treatment for some of our sport event tourism? And what do those field costs and rental costs look for them? And are we treating all of these partners equally?
Yeah.
So I think that's another reason to look at this carefully and making sure that whatever our policy is, that we are prioritizing fairness, but then also making sure that we're making sure that
Yeah.
everybody is treated equally
I
on that.
completely agree with that because we're classifying it as tourism.
Correct.
So I see treating them the same, very similar.
And if,
Yeah.
if both of those events are
Yeah.
indeed our thrust and
Yeah.
our priorities,
Yeah.
we need to be very careful here.
Yep, agree.
I think there's some fantastic points made there. Also, again, the nature of before this, I mean, we've had somebody here tonight talk about doing an event, but normally on this scale, so far we haven't had somebody come and knock on our door and say, can we please rent all your facilities and advertise it on our own? This was something that we needed to go create some value in order to have that partnership. Again, we could carry the weight of that entirely on ourselves, but strengthening it through a partnership versus some of these other offerings do have the opportunity for those to, they are coming to us. So I think Councilman Moore brings some excellent points of those. There needs to be consistency. If there's categories of what consistent in those categories, I think
Yeah.
that's definitely room for some robust
Totally
conversation.
agree.
We're discovering that as we grow, and we're looking to explore sports tourism, event tourism. We need to make sure that we treat partners fairly. I think Councilmember Knorr makes some excellent points.
Councilmember Knorr, you also had questions on labor.
The police, yeah,
Yes.
staff, police and fire
So,
contribution.
So our police this year, learning from year one, where they really just adjusted the staff that was necessary. Year two, they looked to really flex their time and cover it through their salaried employees and only employ overtime where absolutely necessary. So they totaled 2 overtime hours at a cost of $78. Fire is structured a little differently. They need to man a 4-person crew there throughout the event. So that was $6,838, so nearly $7,000. And Public Works, to be there for their needs, $678, so around $8,000 of overtime staffing to staff the event. So again, as Councilmember Murdo points out, there are other investments the city makes besides the dollar amount that it gives to SLE. And an SLE or any event producer has the same. When they're calculating the expenses, they're not putting in the hours that their staff spends in the weeks and months leading up to the event. They're just looking at expenses as the contract stipulates that are directly tied to the event.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
I just wanted to, I thought that information was important. I wanted it as also just to understand the full investment, but when I got the information back, it struck another chord in me, and that this is essentially, and is the police and fire are forced, not in a bad way, but I'm just saying, to use overtime dollars for this event. We need to consider that when we are making the budget and appropriating overtime dollars for them, because they are having to use some of their overtime for something that we're creating. So I just want to make sure that we are keeping that in mind as we go forward in the next budget cycle, and that we're considering that in their requests, what they need, because it's not just their choice, right? It's not an option. They have to provide the police and fire staffing to this event and probably other events too.
Yeah, our
And
signature
I
events,
would
community
actually
events,
like
yeah.
to see what that breakdown is before the next budget is what city events, that's off topic, and we'll talk about that later. But anyways, I just thought that was an important point that as council, I had not thought about when we were approving an overtime budget.
I appreciate that comment, and just to draw another reference to the Ostrich Festival, when I talked to Kevin Harkey, at this point in their event, the city only pays for the public safety.
Right.
And so that's something that they include in their budget.
That's
So
the only
they're
part
at this
that they
point,
pay
you
for.
know, the event is self-running, except for the city does provide the
Right.
public safety. So I appreciate that point.
Just want to
Vice
point.
Mayor?
Oh, go ahead.
So, it's a very good discussion. I appreciate you bringing up the issues at hand. I hope that as we are looking in the future at people who are going to co-partner with us to doing activities and events, we kind of look back in the history, because there have been other organizations that have existed and that still exist that would have perhaps had the equal opportunity to use city resources, their resources combined, might have been very successful. And because they have operated on their own and not had that additional support from the city, if you will, then it would seem that there would be a better balance between what they might provide and what has been provided. I understand that's SLK, is that correct?
SLE.
SLE has a larger war chest, if you will, to be able to use to bring quality entertainment, name entertainment. And I think that given the opportunity, there's some other organizations out there that I can think of just on the top of my head that would have been able to provide a quality program, maybe at a better price, if you will, a more reasonable or balanced, I think the term was balanced price.
So that was actually one of my questions.
Go right ahead.
Vice Mayor, one of my questions was, will we do another IFB for the proposed, for the 2026 Wild West Music Fest? And Quinn can answer what he told me, which is?
For this event, no. The contract that we have with them runs through, it runs through 2027, but needs to be renewed each year.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree with the Vice Mayor that I would like to, as we move forward, at least consider looking at doing another IFB process just to see where it lands, to see what other people have to offer. As we go forward, I think I went to both Wild West Music Fest. They were great. Honestly, they were amazing events. But you don't know what you don't know, and it's always good to see what other options are out there. And so I agree. I would like to keep that as an option.
I feel, so, I'm sorry, I just have to get these thoughts out
Sure.
because this is the point at which to talk about them. But just as we talked about the Ostrich Festival, it took them 7 years to become profitable and a wow opportunity within the city of Chandler. When you're looking down the line and looking at the future and how do we spend our tourism dollars, I just want to add caution that how many times you start and stop with new different things is going to be critical to the success of a program. And I think that's really important to weigh and to balance. Now, one thing that I do see that I think maybe addresses both of your points is the partnership policy and how that might provide for more entertainment along the lines and levels that you guys are talking about. That's a possibility. Or do we split the tourism dollars? But I think you want to be careful when you're talking about a signature program that's meant for tourism to build up the population, the interest, the quality of talent, to continue building that. You want to be careful about the stop and starts. So that's just my take on that point.
And I don't disagree, but I mean, if in 2026, if council approves the Wild West Music Fest when it comes up for the agenda, the bed tax funds appropriation, I'm just trying not to. For the next event, for the next Wild West Music Fest, if SLE gives us a headliner and the headliner can't come like they did last year, we have to. I mean, I'm just saying, we shouldn't just say we can't change. Like, I just feel like we need to continue to evaluate it, and it needs to be considered.
Totally agree.
Because that's,
totally agree.
they've done a good job facilities-wise, but that was a hiccup. And so let's see what happens in 2026, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I do have a question along those lines. If, let's say, next year we decide, let's go out for another RFP, you can't necessarily go out for a Wild West Music Fest FRP, or IBFB, whatever term we want to use. Is that a true statement or a not true statement? Does someone own Wild West Music Fest is what I'm trying to ask.
Yes, it's our understanding that Steve Levine owns the name Wild West Music Fest. If I may be so bold, I don't know that I heard a question, kind of some statements, but I think we may want to, it's important to note that you can always have options to look at other events. This doesn't have to be an exclusive to this. I kind of look at it as saying, you know, we want a restaurant, okay, let's have it be Baskin Robbins. In 3 or 4 years, let's change that to Cold Stone. Let's change that. You can do that, but it's a different restaurant. You're bringing different things. So if you are saying, hey, we want to explore other event producers who might do other things, then let's explore those opportunities and judge them on their merit and look at the merit of this in and of itself, exclusive of those things, and say, is it getting what we want in those regards? Is it bringing that? Is it bringing us the return that we are looking for and boosting the economy and our businesses? Is it accomplishing that? That doesn't mean that other groups can't be considered and offered. When we open an RFP, at the end of the day, unless the RFP says there will be 6 or 7 groups that will win the bid, one bid wins it. So this was an open IFB that any group had the opportunity to bid on. I think there was only one other group that saw that the scale of what we were asking and said that they could do that. When they looked at the financial model, that they were required to put up all the money up front. That's kind of unusual in that world. So they said they weren't as interested, so it gave the opportunity here. So we can always be looking for opportunities and still be using bed tax of smaller budgets that maybe give other of those opportunities chances to be explored as well. But I don't know that I would tie those together. I'd kind of look at, is this event getting us where we want? Let's look at the merit of it for that, what it's worth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you addressed my concern. So in 26, 27, if we were looking, we're just not satisfied with the producer. We can't put an RFP out for Wild West Music Fest because that's owned by them. We would have to put an RFP out for a big event similar.
Yeah, much like the first time, we didn't put out a bid saying for Wild West Music Fest. We didn't even know that exists. We said for a 20th anniversary event. So we would say for an event tourism event that draws people in, that has national headlining music, that has those types of things.
Very good.
Mayor.
What else? Yes.
Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for the conversation. Thank you, Quinn, for your presentation. It was very entertaining. It was good.
And I'm not even done. I still have a couple
entertainment,
slides.
Right? I think you made a great point just now in that this is an event that is encompassed within this event. If someone else wants to put on an event, put on an event. Come to the city, talk to the city, work with the city, negotiate with the city, and figure out an event that you want to place and put in place. And I don't know if we've ever turned down somebody wanting to put on an event. Now, I know other people have put a lot of cash up their own and stuff like that, but just like SLE did, they put a lot of money into it in the first year, and in the second year, they walked away with $2,000.
You know, but the reality is, go forward a slide for me. When you look at the slides, you look at $2.84 million. $2.84 million is not just $2.84 million. You look at it, if it's spent in the city and it's spent on local businesses, and just take for one example, the food and beverage, food truck, fast food, convenience store, blah, 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 blah. Right, that one is $58.98 per ticket, right? That means that $58.98, that doesn't include tips and all that stuff, right? But that money is then invested right back into the city, because if you have a bunch of employees, you're paying those employees that money. And they're taking that money, and most of those employees within food and beverage in the city of Maricopa live in the city of Maricopa. So they're taking that money that they get paid and they're using it again. And I don't know.
7 times, right? 7 times.
Hey, you're taking my,
oh, sorry.
my thunder. That was
Sorry.
my thunder
I'm
right
sorry.
there. So you're looking at it, and I don't know if it's 100% correct, but it's up to 7 times that money is multiplied and then spent throughout the city. So $58 turns into $350 some odd dollars, or whatever it is, of economic development within the community. Because if Susie works at Baskin Robbins and she gets paid, she takes that money, and especially at that level of pay, they spend 100% of that money, usually on incidentals within the city of Maricopa, and they pay their mortgage or their rent, and all that money just stays in here and churns around. And it churns within the city. So it creates more than $2.84 million in revenue or economic impact. It creates, you know, who knows, right? $14 million in economic impact it could be. But when you look at it, that's what we want to see. And I love sports. I do. I mean, my daughter's played softball all the way up through college. And I've been through so many tournaments, travel teams, and all of it. And we all have. I mean, most of us have. So I love those things, but I don't think they generate $14 million in revenue on 3 days, right, here in the city of Maricopa. But it's great to see them, and I want them here, which is why we worked with sports leagues in the city, youth sports leagues, to give up time so they can get more and more sports in the city of Maricopa and people coming in. And it's a funny thing is I was talking to a gentleman 8-9 years ago, I think it was, and he was talking to me about why he chose Maricopa for his business. And it was pretty simple. His kid came to Copper Sky to play, what's that called? With the sticks? Lacrosse. He came to lacrosse, and he spent a weekend here. And so he said, what the heck is this? He came from Scottsdale. He's like, this is amazing. How much is happening here? And he created a business here and then opened a second business. He has since sold that business, but it's still here. And there's somebody else owns it. So bringing more and more money into the city. And so sports tourism is great. And we want as much as that as possible. We want as much as that. We want as much entertainment, tourism, gathering, bringing people from outside the city into the city to spend their money here. So instead of spending the 7 times in Phoenix that they have made, they bring some of it here, and we get some of that money, which is $2.84 million in total economic impact, so whatever it is. That's a good thing. So I want to see more stuff happening. And I am not, I talk to the mayor and I joke all the time, so don't get too mad at me. I am not much of an arts guy. I am not concert guy. I'll show up if I have to. But I don't like sitting there listening to music and stuff. I like to look at $2.84 million in economic impact. I love that. And that gets me excited.
Music. Yeah.
Not the music. I mean, I did bop along to the music. I was there. I ate some food, and I tried to
Spend some of this money.
Yeah, I tried to buy. I think I hit all of these things except lodging, unless you include my mortgage. But, you know, I want more. I want more sports tourism. I want more entertainment tourism. I want everything that can come here to come to the city of Maricopa, because the more stuff we have here, the less we have to leave, spend our money elsewhere, and drive the 347. So yeah, I'm good with it.
Councilmember Marsh, I'll come back to you.
Yeah, just for the record, I want to compliment SLE on their end game. A few hours after each of these 2 big events, they left the fields in Copper Sky pristine. They were the same as they saw them when they built their big stage and put in their equipment. It was amazing. I was very impressed.
Councilmember Gallo?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to combine two comments from yourself and then also from Councilmember Noor that I think are really important again to bring up is that, number one, I agree that the longevity, the ability for SLE to invest in our city does need to have a long-term aspect to it. And we have to be real careful if we're going to change that relationship mid-stride. But to Councilmember Noor's comment, I think we also need to be able to evaluate what they're bringing to our city and if it's meeting certain benchmarks. And that's my request here with this body is we need to be very clear what those benchmarks are for us so that they can be communicated to SLE so we aren't constantly moving a goalpost in this relationship. So I would recommend that we spend a little bit of time really focusing on what do we want to see from this event, what are the benchmarks we want to watch so that SLE is aware of those, and then we also have a very fair way of making a judgment in the future if this relationship will continue.
Very good. Other comments, points? Yes, Vice Mayor.
He wasn't done, though.
Oh, you weren't, who was it? I know, I was going to go back to Quinn. Yes.
No, I'm glad that we're having this conversation. I just wanted to emphasize the point that there are organizations within the city or connected with other organizations within the city that have resources that should be taken into consideration in the long run. I think if that's given at least a chance to ferment, then we create something that has offered opportunities to people who live within the city of Maricopa. You know, and so that's kind of where I'm at with that is that we need to make sure that we look in our backyard before we look out the side yard and see things going away.
If I could clarify, Vice Mayor, did you mean for them to participate in the production of Wild West Music Fest or just event tourism?
Was Quinn talking?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm sorry, my question was, did you mean for those groups to participate in the production of Wild West Music Fest or just other tourism events?
Well, if there's an organization that exists that can handle the Wild West event, then yes, we should certainly take a look at that.
And that's to the mayor's point, what I want to stipulate. A tourism event, I think there's endless opportunities specific to Wild West Music Fest. That's a brand that's been created by that event producer.
Yes, I understand that, but perhaps what the point that I'm trying to make is that there are other organizations within our city that could possibly fill fill those opportunities for people in the city of Maricopa.
So what I'm hearing is maybe some conversation from futures that we could possibly propose other IFBs for other events or things of that nature. But I guess I do want to emphasize as well, whatever obstacles you encounter with this current producer, you'll encounter with the next producer. So it's those same challenges and the relationship we establish and the pattern and how we allow a branded event to grow over time. If they're investing $250,000 and then watching it grow, and after a few years we say, we're going to stop with you and do the same event with somebody else, that does send a message to potential future partners that you might get treated the same. So we got to be cognizant of that in the way we develop our relationships of saying, can we provide other opportunities? Is this event getting us what we want? And let's judge the merit of it based off of those
And
goals.
the answer to that for me right now at this moment is I don't know.
Yeah.
We need to find out if that's the case.
Yeah, we're still learning, absolutely.
It brings up a great point, and thank you again for a great question. In the city of Chandler, there's not just Ostrich Festival. In the city of Tempe, at Tempe Beach Park, is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. At Tempe Beach Park, I used to Uber. Yeah, I got to pay bills too, everybody. So I used to Uber for years, and that was a great place because almost every weekend there was some sort of music festival happening. And I'm not saying we're going to be Tempe Beach Park. We don't have a huge college with 20,000 kids in it next to it, right? But the reality is, over time, there should be more. There should be maybe a music festival every quarter, and then maybe every month, and they might be different in size. There are bigger ones, smaller ones. There's more intimate ones, like he mentioned in the back. And I know the school district has a really cool auditorium that smaller ones can be in. And then we have that great space at Copper Sky that's used for huge ones, kind of like Wild West Music Fest, and then smaller ones. I remember attending a few of them a couple of years ago, where it was right in the grass area where we're going to be having a party on Saturday, right? So there's plenty of space. There's plenty of weeks in the year, and we should have more, right? And how do we get involved in that? Listen, right? Somebody's going to come to the city in the future and say, I want to do this. And we can listen to it and talk about it. And there could be investment from us or not. And we can look at all of that. But if with SLE, in a year or two, we might want to go back out and look at an IFP for a music festival or an RFP or whatever we're calling it. I don't even know anymore.
There's
an
two
FP
terms,
of
I
some
never know
sort.
which one to use.
But the reality is, if you start over, there's a good chance you start over from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? It's not somebody's going to come in and just keep going.
You do.
Right?
You do,
it's
yes.
it's all new at that point, so we start it anew.
Yeah.
But there's always opportunity, and there's a lot of stuff to start anew. We just heard today is a gentleman right here. He'll play the music at it too, and hook him up with SLE. Maybe he'll be on stage on the Sunday for the more of the community one when the Wild West Music Fest comes, because we're always looking for that kind of stuff. So there has to be collaboration and partnerships and working together and figuring it out. And I think we'll be there. Right now, we're not there yet, but we'll get there, and we'll be that destination city that people want to come to. And we'll keep growing, and people will keep coming, and businesses will keep opening, and that's who we are.
I want to go back to a comment I made earlier in regards to there's the tourism events and how we choose to spend our bed tax. And then there is this promise of a partnership agreement, our policy. And I could see a program like what the gentleman in the back talked about, possibly if one of our focus areas is teens, and having that be a partnership so that we're benefiting teens. And maybe one day, we can all have great hopes and aspirations. Maybe that grows into a tourism event, 5 years, 10 years down the road. And you combine that with your other tourism. So I think that what I love about this conversation is the energy of knowing what we all want to accomplish in terms of providing entertainment to our citizens, providing opportunities for teenagers and others as well. And then also providing the ability to, and I'll go back to it, I'm sorry, just give me a hard time, create an influx of revenue that supports our local businesses. I love this conversation. I feel like it's one of the healthiest that we've had on a particular topic that's important to our citizens and to our city. So do you want to go back to finish your presentation? Is it just say thank you very much?
Talk about the finish, but I just want to again emphasize, as you guys have mentioned, we're very much at the starting line, and you see by introducing one major event,
yes,
the questions that brings up and what we need to ask ourselves and proceeding cautiously. I know that can be frustrating at times because we all want to see things happening quickly and see all kinds of things happening in our city, but we also, part of our job as staff, we're working to anticipate unforeseen issues that may cause, and certainly there will be mistakes. There will be, in the course of doing this event, there will be rainouts. There will be, you look at major events that happen, people cancel on stage. These things happen, and certainly in those times it helps to have an experienced event producer that has a backup plan that can get Baby Bash here in 3 days' notice and make those things happen. So there's going to be challenges. Just looking at all the parallels of 347 and all these things, there will be setbacks. Maricopa continues to find its way forward, and we are at the starting line, and I think there will absolutely be more opportunities for other groups to have more opportunities, and it needs to be pitted against or compete against this opportunity. I think we can explore ways to invite even more for our residents.
Quinn, Vice Mayor, has one more point.
I just have one thing to say, and one thing's for sure, in the city of Maricopa, we have some very professional people, that are very smart people, that when they put their mind to wanting something to happen and be beneficial to, whether it be the citizenry or the city or the county, wherever that benefit comes to, our staff can figure out how to make it happen.
You'll have no argument from me there.
All right.
I-
Do you have additional
My battery
slides?
may have died. No. So yes, I was just mentioning some of the media exposure, the experiences that people are having. The people who are coming are having a phenomenal time. They're making memories that they will remember for their lifetime, and that's not explicitly written in there. Again, it's about boosting business and about our regional profile, but certainly is in there the experience for our residents as well. That in the time that this is growing, that's years of experience that people are having here in their city, as opposed to somewhere else around the valley. So next step is the budget's been approved for year 3. We're in contract negotiations right now. We're looking to pick a date for year 3 with SLE. And as I mentioned before, there's one more renewal of that in 2027. We'll continue in 26 and 27 to study the trends and see, is that economic impact growing? Are more people coming to visit? And look to make decisions as we do that. Just again, knowing that our event producer at some point will watch this, express my appreciation for them taking the leap and investing in our community, being the first to raise their hand to this level and say, yeah, we'll do that, and we'll invest our money, and we'll watch this grow. And yeah, there's challenges, and it's rocky, and it's stressful, but we've appreciated working with them, and we, again, think this is a starting point that will hopefully pave the way for a lot of groups to be involved and enrich the lives of our community members. That's all I have for you. Yeah, I think the last slide is just for any further questions.
One last thing.
One last thing. This thing was great. I loved it. On the top right-hand corner says "See you next year." That guy owns Duke's Roadhouse, so it's pretty cool. In the city of Maricopa, there's not just one event, right? There's live music now happening in the city of Maricopa. So Mandy's Wine Bar is celebrating its 1-year anniversary, and you go there, there's live music there. Believe it or not, right here in the city of Maricopa, Duke's Roadhouse, and we all know that down at Raceway, there's always been live music, but they have live music all the time. So the city is growing, the arts are growing in the city where people want it. There's things to do in the city of Maricopa that didn't exist 2 years ago. So it's the growth we're seeing as a city is the growth we'll see at an event like this, and the growth we'll see in sports entertainment, and the growth we'll see all the way through in everything we do. I mean, we grew from Ace Hardware to Ace Hardware, Tractor Supply, Harbor Freight Tools, Home Depot, and Lowe's now.
Don't leave Chitwood out of that.
And Chitwood. And don't forget, what's the name, the other one, Walmart. They have a bunch of hardware stuff. But no, it's like we're going to continue to grow, and stuff will just keep coming and coming and coming. And we'll see what happens. It's only been 22 years. The next 22 years are going to be nuts.
That's right.
They're going to be wild? Is that
They're
what I'm
going to
hearing?
be wild.
Okay.
All right. Any last comments? Yes, Councilmember Noor.
Sure. Thank you, Quinn, for the presentation. Thank you, council. I agree with the mayor about this discussion. Super beneficial. I had one more question that I didn't ask because and it's about when Wild West Music Fest, we projected to become self-sustaining like the Ostrich Fest. And I think that's a better topic to discuss at whatever Mr. Gettle suggested in terms of, I think we need to have, and I don't know what it is it a work study? I don't know. But some sort of forum where we can discuss what our expectations are and set some parameters and some timelines, and I look forward to that. So.
Yeah, we've all grown in terms of tourism dollars. This is only our second year of even, really having anything significant to be able to spend it on.
Right.
So you're right, the lessons that we've learned and what do we expect out of it. Great conversation.
Great.
Yes, Councilmember Mars.
Yeah, I want to thank Quinn and his staff, especially Brenda, Travis, Kelly, for the work they did on these events. They were awesome.
Don't forget Nick. Got to mention Nick.
Agree. All right. Anyone else? Thank you very much,
Thank
Quinn.
you,
With that, our meeting is adjourned.
I said 20 minutes, and I think I spoke for 20 minutes. I think you apologize.
Great. Say again?